He has filed 5 new lawsuits in federal courts on Tuesday with some of the most horrific claims yet against the embattled rapper. The accusations come from both men and women, some just teens when they say that Combs attacked them, others in their late 30s. The claims are all related to alleged conduct.
Could this be the final week Sean Combs spends behind bars? After a dramatic bail hearing last week, we're diving into the key moments and exploring what's next for the embattled rapper, currently detained as he awaits trial on federal sex crime charges. Welcome to Drama Hub. I'm Sabrina Anirbus, and this week could mark a pivotal moment in Sean Diddy Combs' legal saga. Is it really possible he could be released from jail just in time for Thanksgiving? It's a real possibility now. Honestly, I would have said it seemed incredibly unlikely before, but after Friday's bail hearing in front of Judge Arun Subramanian, who notably is new to Sean Combs' case, the chances appear much stronger. Let me break it down. Combs has been held at the Metropolitan Detention Center, MDC, in Brooklyn since his arrest in September. As you know, he's facing serious charges, including racketeering, sex trafficking, and facilitating prostitution. From 2008 to 2024, prosecutors allege he used force, threats, and coercion to compel women into sexual acts, even involving male sex workers in what are referred to as freak-offs. They claim he ran a criminal enterprise responsible for various illegal activities, including kidnapping and arson. We already knew this. 2 previous judges, a district court judge and a magistrate judge, denied Sean Combs' bail.
The judge has denied bail for Sean Diddy Combs. Of course, this was the hip-hop mogul's latest bid for freedom as he remains in federal jail for his racketeering and sex trafficking case. The producer and rapper has pleaded not guilty to racketeering, conspiracy, sex trafficking, and prostitution charges. Combs was previously denied bail back in September as well,
siding with prosecutors who argued that he posed a danger to society. They claimed his wealth, power, and resources made him a flight risk and alleged he attempted to obstruct justice by improperly contacting witnesses and victims. This was despite the defense proposing an extraordinary bail package, a $50 million bond, home confinement, no phone or internet access, 24/7 private security monitoring, strict limitations on visitors, and more. A package unlike anything commonly seen in similar cases. However, leading into Friday's hearing before Judge Arun Subramanian, who is newly assigned and hadn't ruled on the matter before, prosecutors came prepared with even more arguments and evidence. They cited a letter to the court alleging that, while detained at the Metropolitan Detention Center, MDC, Combs violated Bureau of Prisons rules. This, they argued, demonstrated that if he can't follow the rules while incarcerated, he's unlikely to be trusted to comply with any conditions of release on the outside. Setting that aside, prosecutors also claim that Sean Combs has been engaging in unauthorized communications while in custody. Allegations include making 3-way calls on monitored phones, using other inmates' phone access codes to place calls, and employing a third-party text messaging service. Prosecutors argue that these actions were intended to instruct third parties to contact witnesses and even influence a potential jury pool. One specific example involves a social media campaign tied to Combs' birthday. You may recall a video his family released, showing them on the phone with him while he was detained.
Alright, sing happy birthday to Daddy.
To Daddy, happy birthday to Daddy.
Yay!
I love y'all so much.
We love you too.
Love you, Pops. We miss
I
you.
can't wait to see y'all.
Yeah.
Can't wait to see y'all.
Everyone was cheerful, wishing him well, and prosecutors allege this wasn't just a harmless family moment. They argue the intent was to sway public perception and, by extension, influence potential jurors. Prosecutors claim to have evidence that supports this interpretation, possibly involving statements made by Combs himself, and it's all part of their case against granting him bail. There's a lot to unpack regarding the arguments from both the prosecution and defense in this bail debate, but the best way to dive into it is by examining what happened during Friday's hearing. Quick note. Since cameras aren't allowed in the courtroom and electronic devices are heavily restricted, we're relying on reports from those who were present for the proceedings. Interestingly, the first issue raised wasn't even about bail. A few days prior, the defense accused the prosecution of improperly taking photographs of potentially privileged attorney-client materials and work product from Sean Combs' detention unit. This occurred during a contraband sweep at the Metropolitan Detention Center, MDC. The defense argued this was a targeted operation aimed specifically at Combs, though prosecutors denied involvement, claiming they had no part in the search. During the sweep, an investigator from the Bureau of Prisons reportedly took photos of notepads and pages from Combs' unit. In response, Judge Arun Subramanian ordered the destruction of 19 copies of these pages, prohibiting their use as evidence in the bail hearing. Prosecutors had wanted to use these notes to argue that Combs improperly contacted a witness, but the judge barred them from doing so. Judge Subramanian also noted that he would address the question of whether a privilege violation occurred at a later date. If such a violation is confirmed, the remedy remains uncertain. Defense counsel has gone as far as to request that the indictment be dismissed entirely, and the Southern District of New York prosecution team recused from the case. A bold move that underscores the stakes. As these legal arguments unfold, one thing is clear: having top-tier legal representation is critical in navigating a case as complex and high stakes as this one. During Friday's hearing, Judge Subramanian raised concerns about the defense's conduct, starting with an issue involving Sean Combs' legal pads. The defense argued that these pads clearly had "legal" handwritten on their bindings, indicating they contained privileged material and were not to be searched. However, Judge Subramanian pointed out a discrepancy. While the legal pad presented in court had "legal" written on it, photos of two pads taken during the MDC sweep showed no such markings. This raised the question of whether "legal" was added after the fact, casting doubt on the defense's claims. When asked, Combs' attorney, Mark Agnifilo, admitted he wasn't certain when "legal" had been written on the pads, and conceded that not all the pads were labeled during the sweep. This prompted Judge Subramanian to warn the defense to ensure all future representations to the court were accurate. It was an awkward and less than ideal start to the proceedings. From there, the hearing shifted into bail discussions, with prosecutors reiterating their lack of trust in Combs to follow pretrial release conditions. They highlighted allegations of his behavior while in custody. As previously mentioned, Judge Subramanian then pressed Assistant U.S. Attorney Christy Slavic on whether they could at least trust the proposed 24/7's private security team that would monitor Combs under house arrest. Slavic responded with a bombshell claim. One member of the proposed security team was allegedly a co-conspirator of Combs, whose phone had been confiscated, while another was a defense investigator accused of contacting witnesses. This raised questions about whether the security team could truly operate independently of Combs. In response, Agnifilo proposed replacing the current team with an independent security team and emphasized that Combs would be living under far more restrictive conditions at home than at the MDC. This argument, however, only added to the complex web of concerns the court must now unravel. Judge Subramanian questioned why Sean Combs' wealth couldn't be used to mitigate risks, if it's also cited as a reason to deny bail. Prosecutors argued that his wealth, combined with his alleged dangerousness, risk of flight, and obstruction, made him uniquely untrustworthy for release. They pointed to allegations like Combs' birthday PR campaign, which they claimed was an attempt to influence jurors, citing a recorded call where Combs allegedly said, "I need only one."
I love y'all so much.
The judge then compared Combs' case to that of Mike Jeffries, the former Abercrombie & Fitch CEO charged with federal sex trafficking and released on $10 million bail.
The former CEO of clothing retailer Abercrombie & Fitch has been arrested on federal sex trafficking and interstate prostitution charges. Mike Jeffries, his partner, and a third associate are accused of recruiting young men under the guise of modeling opportunities and coercing them to perform sex acts. The indictment claims the sex trafficking happened from 2008 through 2015.
Prosecutors countered that Jeffries didn't commit violent acts, use firearms, or continue obstructing justice, unlike Combs. Combs' lawyer Alexandra Shapiro argued that Jeffries' case was worse, involving international trafficking and severe assaults, adding that Combs' age of 55 also minimized the difference. The exchange highlighted the nuanced arguments in this high-stakes bail debate. Another notable moment during the hearing revolved around the infamous 2016 video, published by CNN, allegedly showing Sean Combs assaulting his ex-girlfriend Cassandra Ventura in a hotel hallway. Prosecutors argued the video exemplified his dangerousness, key to denying bail. Judge Subramanian, however, pressed the prosecution on claims by the defense that the video may have been spliced or edited by CNN. Assistant U.S. Attorney Christy Slavic dismissed this, stating there was no real dispute about the video's content, as Combs had publicly apologized after its release. She emphasized that it clearly showed him shoving, kicking, and dragging Ventura. The defense countered by suggesting the relationship's context, arguing the messages between Combs and Ventura depicted a long-term, consensual but fraught relationship. They described the breakup as unrelated to coercion or abuse, claiming mutual physical conduct occurred. Addressing allegations of improper communications, defense attorney Alexandra Shapiro argued that Combs' public statements were within his First Amendment rights to defend against media scrutiny, though the judge questioned why such responses couldn't simply come through his legal team. This back and forth underscored the complexities of evaluating his actions in both public and private spheres. During the hearing, Judge Subramanian expressed concerns about Sean Combs' ability to follow pre-trial conditions, citing his alleged misconduct while in custody. Defense attorney Alexandra Shapiro assured the court that Combs would comply if released, but prosecutors pointed to instances where he ignored his lawyers, including orchestrating a birthday PR campaign and using other inmates' phone codes in violation of prison rules. They argued this behavior demonstrated Combs' disregard for rules, making him untrustworthy for release. The judge explored potential home confinement arrangements, rejecting a Miami proposal and instead considering an Upper East Side apartment. The defense outlined strict conditions, including 24/7 security, no internet or phone access, except for legal calls, and no contact with witnesses. While this suggested the judge was open to bail, pretrial services opposed the plan, calling it insufficient. They also noted the unprecedented nature of involving private security. The defense framed Combs' public statements as protected First Amendment rights, comparing his situation to Donald Trump's legal battles. Shapiro argued his comments were not obstructive, but necessary to counter media scrutiny. Prosecutors disagreed, claiming his conduct was part of a long pattern of violence and obstruction designed to influence jurors and undermine justice. Judge Subramanian again referenced the case of Abercrombie & Fitch CEO Mike Jeffries, who was granted bail in a sex trafficking case. Prosecutors argued Jeffries' circumstances were different. He wasn't charged with violence or ongoing obstruction. The defense countered that Jeffries' case involved more severe allegations, including international trafficking. The judge requested additional arguments from both sides and promised a decision this week. If granted bail, Combs would face strict conditions, with any violation resulting in his immediate return to custody. Meanwhile, the government could still pursue additional obstruction charges. Should bail be denied, Combs' legal team has one last option: an appeal to the Second Circuit Court. For now, the judge's decision could either reunite Combs with his family for Thanksgiving or keep him detained as the case continues. Thanks so much, everybody, for joining us here on Drama Hub. As always, please subscribe, leave some love in the comments, and don't forget to check out this next video.